My memory of Ron is from many years ago when Sue was getting her master's at CSU. She and I shared an office, so we got to know each other pretty well, but we'd really only met Ron once or twice. Time passed, Sue and Ron moved away, we moved away, and after several more years, we ended up in Idaho Falls at the same time. And that summer, Sue and Ron were having one of their big backyard parties, so Sue invited us, and Greg and I were wandering around the backyard looking at the beautiful garden and flowers and whatnot. And Ron just came striding up to us with his big warm smile saying, "Hi guys, I'm so glad you could make it." And we knew he didn't know who we were, but he was just so warm and welcoming, and that's just Ron. It meant a lot to us, and we will miss him.
Hi. So I am thankful that I knew Ron for a lot of reasons. The sound of him singing with my dad is a huge part of my childhood. And there are certain songs that I'll always think of him when I hear. He was one of the greatest huggers, which I know I'm not going to be the only person to say. He was just a huge part of my life for all of my childhood. And I'm thankful that I was able to spend time with him. And I'm thankful for the time that we spent doing the Secret Garden and Big River, because I'll always think of him when I think of those shows. I'm thankful for the time that we both ended up being in I think it was Portland at the same time, and he took me out to breakfast with Sue. And it was the first time in a long time that I'd seen him. And he was just one of those people who, especially as I got older, I felt like I could kind of give a hard time to. And he would kind of nudge me back. And he was just very full of love. And I'll never forget him. And I know that there are many, many other people who will never forget him, too. And I just consider myself very lucky to have known him for as long as I did. And I'll miss him forever.
Some favorite memories of Ron. I remember when we were all pretty young, he and Jim Saylor drove me and Allie and Brooke around trick-or-treating. And I remember that they were listening to the one of the Sting albums, and it was Heavy Cloud, No Rain. And they were just singing it so loud while we were all in the back seat. And I've always cherished that memory because they were just having so much fun, and it was just ridiculous. Ron always shouted, "Jules!" when he saw me. And that always made me feel like he was cheering for me. And I'm glad he was there for my wedding, and that he got to meet Patrick a few times. My favorite memories, though, of course, are the many hours that I spent listening to him and my dad play music. That was such a part of my childhood. I mean, those are the sounds of my childhood. And I'll never forget them.
For 25 years or so, I worked with Ron at the lab. I also played music with him, which was really the highlight of my relationship with him. So many crazy things, funny things happen while we're playing. One time in particular, I remember we were playing a gig at Lost Arts, and this guy was having a great time listening to us, and he buttonholes me at the end of a set and says, you know, just wouldn't leave me alone. Finally said, "Well, who did that last song you did?" I told him it was Broke Down Palace by the Grateful Dead. Next 2 or 3 minutes, he just regales me furiously about how much he hates the Grateful Dead. Got back up, we were tuning. After I finally got away from the guy, Ron says, "What was that all about?" I told him. he just looks at me and says, "You know what that means, don't you?" And I said, "Yep," and that was the only thing that was said. But that last set, nothing but Grateful Dead. And man, that guy still had a great time. I miss you, Ron. I think of you every time I pick up the guitar.